We have some movement too, not necessarily new buys or sells, but we have additions in terms of Josh Brown's best stocks in the market list. So we have some additions here and a few subtractions too, Josh, that I want to address because we've been highlighting these for our viewers, and we do have some ownership around the desk. So in to the list, the best stocks in the market is 3M, Becton Dickinson, and EOG. You want to talk about those first, please?
Yeah, so let's start with EOG because this one has not broken out yet. This is a stock that's been consolidating at give or take roughly the same level going back to early 2022. It's at the higher end of the range. It just popped onto the list. And I think this is the type of situation where you can anticipate the breakout. I think if you're a trader, you sort of want to play this with a stop. What I would do here is utilize the high 1-teens, like 118, 119, as my downside protection. If this were to break down, that's where you want to be out of the name. But if this stock can break above 135, there's really not a lot of resistance here. You have to go back a couple of years to find sellers at that level. And it's in a sector that's starting to reawaken after just horrendous relative performance to the rest of the market. The other one we should do is 3M, which I personally own. I've been in the stock for a while. This has been the type of situation where it had a huge breakout. Stephanie's in it way earlier than I am, but I'm still there. It's been consolidating since September, and now I think it's ready to take its next big leg up. It's right at the upper end of that range, within 1% or 2% of 52-week high. And RSI is fairly cool, which means it's not overbought and it hasn't made its move yet. So these are two names that I think, both for traders and investors, belong on their radars.
Okay. The other you didn't do. Oh, you want to comment on 3M, Steph, real quick, before we do the Becton?
Yeah, I mean, the new CEO, he's in the job for like a minute, and he has a great track record. Operating margins are the story in the short term. Eventually, they have new product growth, about 10% growth. That should help 2025 as well. But watch the margins, because I think that's what's going to drive the short term positively.
Okay. So give me something on Becton Dickinson. What about it makes it worthy of this list?
This is another long-term consolidation. Sort of trading relatively near the older highs. Again, this is medical and surgical products, so it's in a sector that, just to Jim's point, was absolutely left for dead. Nobody wants to be in these names while there's potential for negative rhetoric on campaigns across the country. But that moment passes, and these names get rediscovered. So it's a modest dividend payer. It's a $67 billion market cap. It's in an area that people haven't been focused on. But again, it's been trending higher. If you take a look at the way this stock has performed since December, you could tell the tax loss selling year, people that just wanted it off the books by year end, in a year with huge winners that they needed to offset, that probably peaked the first or second week of December, and ever since, it's been like a beach ball you've been trying to hold underwater, and it's just been kind of levitating higher. I don't think there's anyone left here to sell. A breakout above 225 would be really interesting for a short-term trade.
So in terms of leaving the list, I mean, there was an event around Constellation Energy, so I get it. The airlines, United and Delta, have had amazing runs, so I get it. What about Arista Networks?
Look, this is a pure momentum name. It's obviously highly caught up in the AI story. A lot of the people who, quote unquote, missed NVIDIA grabbed onto this thing as kind of a life preserver amongst growth mutual funds who didn't want to buy a stock that was up 500%. I understand that mentality and I understand that instinct, and it worked. This has been one of the better performers over the last year. I just think whenever you have a name with a beta like this, that is so much more volatile than the overall market, and you have a hiccup in the market, this is exactly where you're going to see selling, and that's all that happened here. I think the longer-term trend is intact, and I wouldn't be surprised if this stock, if we get a healthy tech market, doesn't get back up toward the highs of a week and a half ago. So I wouldn't be despondent over it exiting the list. but it definitely needed to cool off, and that's what happened over the last couple of days.
Jason, you own the stock, right?
Totally agree with what Josh is saying. The stock was up 80% last year. It's the #1 cloud network solution, switchboard provider. So for me, the momentum is broken. It will come back. There's so much CapEx spend in the AI and cloud space. So maybe it's taking a little bit of break, a little bit of digestion, but this will be a long-term home for us.
Okay.